What's going on there, emissaries? It's Gores here, giving you guys a deck profile for my Kengen Eldlich deck. I just took this to a remote duel regional, taking second place, tying for first, finishing 6-0-1. First off, I'd like to make a huge shout out to LearnTCG.com. Make sure you guys check them down in the description box below. Players like Hani and Crystal Blanc are the best in this game, and they're just going to make you better. So make sure you guys click that link. If you are trying to succeed at the regional or higher level, they can definitely make sure that that happens for you. In addition to that, I'd like to shout out DD Gods for taking first place with another rogue deck. Hand Loop Generators. He was playing an uphill battle just like me all day against Meta, against Rescue Ace, against DIABELLSTAR, against Unchained, all those decks. Super, super nice person. Look forward to seeing them at Nationals. So yeah, let's just get right into the deck profile. We have 2 copies of Eldlich the Golden Lord, 1 copy of Cursed Eldland, 3 Eldlich, 3 Conquistador, and 2 Hakiero. This deck is extremely insulated. It has a lot of resistance. It takes a lot of effort to be able to put us in a position where we know we're going to lose. I don't think there was a point where I knew I was going to lose except for one match all day today. And then next up, we'll get into the Kengen package. So we have 1 Ken, 3 Gen, 1 Rhoda, 2 Tactics Talent, and 2 Thrust. This engine is insane, especially with being able to force our opponent to activate a monster effect, being our Ken, drawing us 2 cards, and then discarding our Eldlich or our Conquistador, and then being able to activate our talents to either draw 2, look at our opponent's hand, get rid of Nibiru, or potentially just take the Ken and then make Almirage, then make Little Knight. Thrust being able to just go ahead and grab us Nadir's Servant, or being able to grab us Reinforcement of the Army, or Scarlet Sanguine to just be able to play even further. And then for the Horus package, we're playing a huge Horus package in this. You actually have to, because in order for this deck to be as resilient as it is, we need to be playing a 6 monster package. So we are playing 1 Hapai, 3 Glory, 1 Blessing, 1 Protection, 3 King's Sarcophagus, and 1 Canopic Protector. Canopic was actually insane today, being able to just chain to our opponent's card, or flip it and draw phase, and then chain it and be able to summon back our Horus monsters that we use for either link material or making our Coach King. The card was extremely surprising to a lot of people and ridiculously oppressive. Next up, we did play a Dogmatica package. This card came in clutch so often. Nadir's Servant, this card is insane, y'all. Being able to send Entis and then just pop Little Knight while we have no cards on field, or be able to force the trigger and then OTK them with Horus cards, that happened 3 times today. The card is actually insane. Next up, we have 2 Dogmatica Punishment. Again, just being able to search this card with our Ecclesia, going first and then using it to pop, or getting the +1 from Ecclesia, drawing a card off Garura, and having 2 new cards to send for our King Sarcophagus. Super, super reliable for this deck. And then next up, we did play 4 Floodgates. We played 2 Summon Limit and 2 Tikaboo. You can draw up to 8 cards in a turn with this deck between Thrust, Ken, Giant Trainer, and Garura. So I didn't see a need to play 3 copies of any of the Floodgates, not even in the side, because honestly, if you see one of these against most of the meta, they have such a bad time. So yeah, that's it for that. The side deck was extremely teched out. We have a lot of room. Again, we get to draw a lot of cards, so we have a little bit more room to play around with the side deck. We did main 3 Droll and Lockbird as the only hand trap in the deck. And then we did play Keldo and Mudora. These didn't come up because unfortunately I didn't play against Tier Limit. Make sure you guys stick around so we can do the matchup wrap up after this. But Mudora and Keldo against Tier Limit, or against another Horus style deck so that we can just shuffle cards back. Extremely relevant, just didn't come up today. 2 Lava Golem, this is the only card I would think about cutting, maybe for Game of Seal or for Nibiru. I didn't play against Pearly, I did play against Rescue Ace and Unchained all day. So this card was pretty good, I just didn't draw it. It did come in though. 2 Cosmic Cyclone, we got to get rid of some cards. Like, we got to get rid of our opponent's King Sarks sometimes. We got to get rid of Tier Limit Scream sometimes. This card just definitely comes up. It's very important. We cited it in twice today, so the card is definitely worth playing. Next up, we do have 1 Feather Duster, 2 Lightning Storm, and 1 Evenly. We can thrust to so much in our side deck, so playing this package just to go into the Rescue Ace deck was chef's kiss. So minty. And then Next up, we did have the 1 Herald of the Abyss and 1 Dimensional Barrier. Again, these are just thrust targets that are really good in some matchups. Dimensional Barrier, our deck is already phenomenal going first. We only won 2 dice rolls today, so when we went first, we 2-0'd our opponent. So the deck was insane all day today. And then for the extra deck, we have 1 Entis, 1 Fossil Warrior. You could potentially cut the Skull Knight, maybe for another link too, like Masquerena or Dark the Dark Charmer. He really didn't come up that much. He came up one time where he was relevant. So this is a card you could consider cutting. 1 Garura, it lets us draw a card off a Nadir Servant. 1 Coach King, Giant Trainer. 1 Zeus. 1 Harbinger. 1 Photon Lord. Dreadnought, access code package with Unicorn. This did not come up. But when it did come up once, but when my opponent saw I could make access code, they just scooped. So, 1 Link Spider, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Almirage. Almirage is for when we have Gen, and then we can link the Gen off, make Almirage, and either summon Ecclesia or link it off with another monster to make Little Knight. I did make Almirage by going normal summon Gen. Our opponent ashed it, and then, or no, our opponent impermed. No, what was the card? Extinguished. Extinguished it. We linked it off for Almirage. Tried to summon a monster. They popped it with the other card. We were able to summon out a Golden Land, linked it off for Link Spider, and then make Little Knight. So it was super funny. 1 Underworld Goddess for Pearly, because we can just summon 4 Horuses and then link it off, or potentially, you know, summon Conquistador, summon Eldlich, summon 2 more monsters, and then link off. It's not a hard card to make in this deck at all. And then 1 Tri-Brigade, Bucephalus the second. This card is just so that, like, we can send something for our Dogmatica Punishment to be able to pop, like, for example, like a boosted Turbulence. If they're boosted from, like, Rescue Ace Headquarters, I believe is the name of the card. And then Bucephalus will allow us to send Garura, so we'll be able to pop a card and draw a card off of our Dogmatica Punishment. So that's it for the deck. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for some test hands, so let's just do a test hand really quick so that I can show you guys how insane this deck is. So here's an example test hand. This actually isn't even the best, but it's also not the worst. So this is what we would do here. We would start off, standby main phase, normal summon our Gen effect to summon Ken to our opponent's side of the field. He is Knuff, remember that. As soon as I can find him. There he is. Special summon Ken. Ken goes to their side, triggers, draws us 2 cards, and then we get to discard 1. Here, I guess we would just discard the Gen. And then from here we can go Thrust, go grab Tactics. And then Tactics, take the Ken back. Link off the Ken again into our Little Knight. Then we can go activate King Sark. Send the Protection. Send Blessing. Summon back Protection and Blessing. And then here we can go like Nadir Servant. Send Garura. Go ahead and add Ecclesia. Trigger Garura to draw a card. We drew Eldlich, which is insane. Special summon Ecclesia. Go ahead, run and grab our Dogmatica Punishment. Send this off for King Sark. Send Glory. Summon back Glory. Go ahead and set Punishment. And that's like just one example of like the deck. Like we're ending on a pop 2, a banish a card. If our opponent interacts with our board, we get to draw 4 cards. Our opponent can't destroy Ecclesia by battle. We have Little Knight. Like it's just very insulated here. But again, that hand wasn't even that great. But we still ended on such like an obnoxious board for our opponent to deal with. Oh, and if they try to battle with our Horus monster, we can send it off King Sark. So we'll give it another shot here. We open up Hockey Arrow, Eldlich. And this is an okay hand. It's not really what I'm trying to showcase here. The hand's pretty good though. Sure, this works. Okay, so we go normal summon Gen. Gen effect summon Ken. He's in here somewhere. Ken effect, draw 2, discard a card. We can go ahead and discard this Hockey Arrow here. Then we can go King Sark, send Eldlich, send Glory, send Gen, send Hapai, send Conch, send Protection, summon back these 3, make our Coach King, and then Coach King, draw 3 cards. And then we drew the thrust. Keep in mind our opponent controls the Ken right now. So we can go ahead, run and grab the talent. And here we can just talent a card out of our opponent's hand, hit a starter, and then they can just go ahead and keep the Ken at this point. So we can just let them have that. And then we can just link these 2 off. For Little Knight, we can choose to banish the Ken here. If we wanted to. Sometimes I like to let them keep the Ken because if they try to go to battle phase and just out the Little Knight, the Ken just goes right to our hand. So at the end of battle phase, because it's a mandatory effect to bounce it back. And then from here we could go, you know, Nadir, go grab the Ecclesia, draw a card off Garura. And then, believe it or not, here we would probably just normal summon the Ecclesia, or special summon the Ecclesia in defense. Go ahead and grab that second punishment, and then send it to graveyard for our Imseti to go ahead and draw another King Sark so that we have it for follow-up, and then draw a card in case they out this. And then from here, we can send the last card from hand to dump and summon out our Blessing. And then we can go ahead and set 1, set 2, and then end phase effect of Hockey Arrow, and go ahead and set the Eldlich. So yeah, this is basically how the deck was functioning when we go first all day. The deck was actually bananas. This is pop 1, 2, 3, banish a card, summon Eldlich from deck. If they out any monsters on our board or any cards on our board, Blessing is going to trigger and draw potentially 4 cards if we summon out the Eldlich. Because we summon out the Eldlich, and then we can summon out the Conquistador, and then we could potentially draw 4 cards if they out any card on our side of the board, and then just be completely refueled to fight them in the following turn. So if you guys like this deck, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button down below, and make sure you guys like this video. Put in the comments what you guys would like to see me play at another regional. You guys are amazing. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for subscribing. This is Gores, signing off.